Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Academy playoffs. We've got a Game 5 coming on the way. Before we can get into Game 5, we've got to reflect upon that game number 4. Desterux, what a game it was. I feel like I've said game like 80 times because it also was another 40-plus minute game, so you just got to say it so many times for every minute you spend in the game. But what are your thoughts on it?
That felt like 3 games compiled into one. That went on for a while, and there were so many swings of momentum. You know, for a while we're watching the Tony Top show. Cloud9 are picking up their own momentum. EGA try and come back. We see King get full build and start to threaten one-shots on people. This game was insane, man. I was at the edge of my seat the rest of it. Mad Magical, you heard me squealing the entire time with excitement.
Yeah, Mad Magical. I feel like we were all making all kinds of noises. I mean, we're all play-by-plays here. We made jokes about that. So the screaming was just off the roof for this one.
It was. I mean, to me, this game, it was, it was close for a while. It was great. And like Eric was talking about, once Ziggs got full build, it was that scene from Atlantis. Look, I made a bridge. It took me, what, 10 seconds? 20 at tops? Because he just blew everyone up.
Yeah. Bombs everywhere, everybody blowing up. Let's take a look at some of the moments from that game. Desterux, you were noting the fact that it felt like 3 different games into one because of the way that the action was going. Here in the early game, we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, we didn't really know what to expect. We saw some invades, and right here we're being very, very critical of Tony Top and how they had lane priority and didn't switch it up. That critical outlook only continued when we saw some of the plays Evil Geniuses were making, like this one right here, where they're able to avoid the tower dive onto Tony Top, but Mystique still decides to go in for the engage. There's a Galio there. Copy had an amazing early game to respond to a lot of what Evil Geniuses were doing.
And there's the end of Arc 1 right there, right? Yeah, you have this early play, you have, and even this one right here, I'd say is part of Arc 1, where we just see, it's going well. It's game 1 of the best of 3 that we have in this series, where and Cloud9 are able to capitalize perfectly. I like this from Darshan. It takes so long to kill him. They're able to throw it back. Even then, you have this play mid lane that they're able to enact because of that. It turns out to be a 1-for-1 trade in the long haul of it all. But there's so much that is gained off of Cloud9, because if you look topside, you look at the minimap, how everyone's forced under that turret, even bringing up Jojapion just to be able to help. This gives a lot of time over to Isles after this play to start getting that vision control of the top half of the map so that they seem like they're in such a stronger point.
And after a while, this is where things started to swap over to the Evil Geniuses show, more specifically the Tony Top show. Copy tries to get away, will burn down, and watch Tony Top in this fight, as well as Mystiques, as he is able to do a lot of disruption here, but Tony Top just puts in the damage, puts in the work. Even though Team Luke gets chunked out, he can still stay in the backline and deliver those piercing arrows, deliver that amount of damage. All things being said, though, we still had questionable moves out of decision-making. That was one of the sadder kills that we saw, where, a lot of that collateral damage comes in and is able to pick up some stragglers.
On both sides, each of these teams were really trying to make plays happen, and sometimes the result wasn't always in the favor of whoever initiated it. I like the fact that you just brought up Mystiques here, though, Mad Magical. It feels like being on a lot of these proactive picks and having that engage, even when it doesn't work out for the team, he is still really trying to make things happen.
And you gotta respect the support player with how he constantly plays. Actually, I love this.
This was so good.
If you look right in the wings, that Mystiques was ready for that. He was like, I'm ready for the play, and then after they already made it mid lane because Team Luke flashed, he's like, wait, they came to me. This is so easy. Oh my gosh, I love my life.
And that's the job that you're hoping for, right? Make it seem easy for the rest of the team, but bringing some of that focus over back onto C9 Academy. The gold lead never really shifted a lot in either way, but it felt like they did have a good understanding of the overall game, Desterux, and where their win conditions came from.
Yeah, the gold lift wasn't that much shifting, just because we had moments where we had highlight reels on one side, highlight reels on the other. Take a look at the play here. We see another highlight reel coming out over on C9's side as they're able to take out Jojo and get King out alive. And I really do want to focus on King, because look at the damage he can put out. King got to the late stages of this game where you kept hearing Cubby on the cast where he kept saying, like, they're threatening one-shots now. An ultimatum plus the bomb is pretty much the end of anyone's life.
I also love this because that play right there was the beginning of Arc 3. We ended our second arc where it was Evil Geniuses winning the game. They were great. They had it all the way to the Nexus themselves, but then they lost that Baron fight. They end up losing the game. All because, like you said, look at King. He is 10-1-2 on that Zig. They made sure this time, like I've been wanting them to, played around King. They made sure that he was all buff, he was this ripped Yordle that was able to blow everyone up who came in his way, and that is what I want to see continue from Cloud9 Academy.
Mad Magical making sure that we note the play in all of its acts here within that previous game. But being that it was one of the ones that went longer, went past that 40-minute mark, Mad Magical, it also did feel like you have to consider the team fights and that burst potential on both sides. Did you feel like it was anyone's game because of those shifts, or did you feel like one of the teams had a better control over the team fights in general?
Well, I think the reason why we like to categorize it in these arcs for this game is because in Arc 1, it looked like Cloud9, that early game, should have been enough to be able to continue their momentum into the mid-game, win it out. But we've also highlighted many times throughout this broadcast that Cloud9 Academy always has that trough in the mid-game. They always struggle when it comes to usually 15-20. This one happened to be more close to 25 minutes when they started to struggle, so the cracks began to show for them. Evil Geniuses were able to punish. Like I said, even before, they got all the way to the nexus of Cloud9. They were that close to just winning the game, but they were barely thwarted, pushed back out. Then you had a King who was already at that point to become so scary. They kept getting these picks that just allowed him to get buffer and buffer.
King monster on that pick. And while we had seen Team Luke on the same pick on the Ziggs prior, and he did have a lot of strength to him, the rest of the team was never really able to be there and support him in the way they needed. But Cloud9 Academy here, Desterix, it feels like as a team, they were all playing to their role. I want to know what you thought of Copy and the way that he was piloting that Galio, which is somebody that you're looking for to really assist the rest of the players.
I was so happy with Copy's performance, more specifically in the early game, because it felt like EG just didn't respect the fact that there is a Galio on the map. Hero's entrance can come from anywhere at any given time. If you're not keeping a very close eye on where that mid laner is, that is what's going to stop your gank. That's what's going to stop your tower dive. That's what's going to stop your counter jungling. And Copy he was an excellent catalyst for C9A's early game.
He was, but the thing I asked for from Evil Geniuses was Ashe. Team has looked so good on this. It also has that global to be able to help out the team. Even if it's not exactly global from Galio or Ziggs, that's something that's been useful. It was so useful for them in games 1 and 2. The picks they were able to get so many times. I would have loved to see that. Even look at the flash forward that he had with the Chain of Corruptions to find his pick on Forest. I want more Ashe from Team Luke, please.
Yeah, Desterux and Mad Magical, I think that we're going to have to find out if it is towards the Ashe, if it is towards the Varus again. Everybody, we have game number 5 between Cloud9 Academy and Evil Geniuses Academy. Who will take the victory here in the second quarterfinals? Let's find out. Rafa and Cubby, take it away.
It is Silver Scrapes time, and it's freaking Game 5. I almost dropped an F-bomb just like that big Mega Inferno Bomb that King dropped onto Team Luke in that Baron fight, because, my God, the emotions are high, the stakes are high, the tension is high, Cubby, and I'm probably going to pass out at some point, but I'm going to try to do my best to make it through with you to the finish line.
Please don't do that to me. No one wants to hear my play-by-play, especially considering my first words back were a voice crack. So, that said, hearts out for Rafa. We don't want any passing out going on in this game as we are diving into Game 5. And Rafa, if anyone's just joining us now, how would you summarize the first 4 games that we have seen briefly?
You can't. You need to go experience it for yourself by looking back at the VOD. So I'm going to opt out of that question.
Twitch.tv/academy to the videos section and then
right.
rewind. Or if you're on YouTube, click back.
See, we got plugs for both of the streaming platforms here. But for this Game 5, Evil Geniuses came out with the first 2 victories on their side, mainly whether it was attributed to the Lulu pick being so great for Jojo Piona and Tomio being able to link up and fully empower the jungle to a full extent. Cloud9 Academy take that away, and even though Game 4, Tony Top was monstrously ahead on that Fiora, they stalled it out, and King Ziggs was absolutely instrumental for this team. And the Xin Zhao being taken away means that there's no longer a Xin Zhao priority, but the LeBlanc will be favored for EG Academy.
The most important, the game-defining picks that we've seen in this series has been the Xin Zhao and the Ziggs. And EG they're going to grant the fact that they're going to give that away. And for the first time this series, we're seeing a Diana for Surenfire. This is the bread and butter setup for C9. And now we have to keep our eyes on those AD solo laners like a Lucian, like a Set coming out for Copy. And Lucian, not a terrible matchup into LeBlanc. So I think that's what C9 are setting up for early. A Ziggs here for Team Luke. This would put a lot of magic damage on the side of EG and enable C9 to stack MR. So I think that's why they ended up going for the Varus. They wanted the Diana as Surenfire. His Diana 7-2 in 9 plays. And oh baby, we're getting the gauntlet thrown. It's time for Tomio's one of the 2 cats that he plays damn well. It's going to be in Italy.
It is one of the picks that he has made a name for between that and the Rengar, and we're pulling it out in the most #live evil fashion, living up to Contracts and Svenskeren, who have had some of the most incredible Nidalee performances in LCS history. And now Tomio is looking to make his mark in Game 5 where it matters most.
Okay, so EG, obviously they need the bot lane. C9 get ban out 2 counters. They're probably not going to ban out Ziggs because that would over-index EG on magic damage. It's going to be off the table. Whereas C9, that Lee Sin, that's a big flex. Darshan, if you didn't see the clip of Darshan's 1v5 pentakill against Immortals earlier in the split, go check it out. Immortals definitely... They did a bit of gifting in that one, but it was still 1v5 penta for Darshan. And Copy's Lee Sin is also fantastic, so this is a good flex pick for C9. That will force EG to most likely target supports here just to guarantee the fact that those bans land. Instead, they're actually going to give Tony Top some help. They think that Lee Sin's going to be going mid against the LeBlanc, so they're going to take away an Ornn, and wouldn't be surprised to see a GP take away here as well, away from C9, preventing them from going late and preventing Darshan from getting a big comfort matchup for himself.
Not only that, but also the Cannon Barrage has been absolutely massive in that Game 3 and being able to affect the rest of the map without having to leave lane.
And here probably.
Yeah, and then the Ashe. Mad Magical was calling for it from Team Luke. You definitely need a marksman for the bottom laner of EG Academy at this point when you already have magic damage coming from Jojo Pion and from Tomio already. And them being able to identify Team Luke's 2 of his most comfort picks in Tristana and Ashe means that Tom Kench banned, so GP is available, like you said, Cubby.
I like that from EG because they're scared of the flex potential. Now, if C9 really wanted to get creative, they could grab a Set here. That's a pretty poo-poo matchup into the Blanc, but it would hide the flex, would be a champion that Isles could play. I would also actually not mind a Rel if they want to maintain the flex, but of course Leona is the go-to support that we've been seeing from C9. They're going to take their time to take this pick, and oh boy! Okay, so this is a different type of flex for C9 for Darshan, as Shen can contest Renekton on early levels, and EG going to return to comfort. Team Luke, Xayah is his go-to, his best champion, and C9, it's a brutal lane phase for Xayah, but C9 have to dive into EG. So Team Luke and EG going to go for a little bit of comfort, take the Lovers duo, as C9 now have to decide whether that's going to be Shen support or Shen top, and it will be Shen top.
Leona being taken in to stop the tracks of Mystique's Rakan. Game 2, it didn't work out so successfully for Cloud9 Academy, respectively, as Mystique's had some great grand entrance quickness combos that followed up, even in spite of Team Luke not always landing the mark on the Crystal Enchanted Arrow. It was what netted them multiple kills onto King, onto Surenfire in Game 2, and put EG Academy at match point. But now the stakes are on both ends. This is Game 5, Cubby. This is for Academy Playoffs lives here. This is for the chance to move on to semifinals.
And it would mean so much for both of these teams, as C9, of course, taking that 4 seed. They were a top 2 Academy team that we had in the last split. They were winning. They took second in the regular season. They went the furthest out of all Academy teams in Proving Grounds. And this split, they just haven't been able to quite find that same magic they were having in a different meta. Whereas for EGA, what a statement this would be for Tomio, walking and taking down one of the top Academy teams in his Academy debut, as this young roster of EG, a lot of homegrown talent from the NA scene that they've taken here, especially among Tomio, Jojo Pion, Team Luke, Tony Top, all scouting grounds, all participants in Proving Grounds last split. They're looking to take down the veteran roster of C9 Academy, as both these players going to take to the Rift as we hop into Game 5 for all the marbles.
And Cubby, if you have time, I want you to look up something for me and do some numbers. Is this the first time we are seeing Shen in the Academy summer season? Is this the first time that we are seeing Shen in NA? There might have been a semi-pro game that had Shen.
It's Darshan's second Shen game of the split. And
Okay.
notably, he is taking Ignite in this matchup. So no flash for Darshan, which will make him even more vulnerable to Tomio's Nidalee if they decide to attack that lane. But of course, this will give Darshan quite a bit of kill pressure in the early levels as Shen does trade surprisingly well, can contest this matchup with Renekton, especially levels 1 through 4. And EG, off the back of Tomio, Jojo Pyun, I'm really curious to see how EG plays this mid-jungle duo, as this has been such a core part of these games and these early games that have mostly been going C9's way.
And Darshan, thanks to the Spirit's Refuge on that Shen, you can block and mitigate a ton of the damage from Tony Top whenever he goes in with that Ruthless Predator trade. I don't know if the interaction necessarily cancels out the stun, but for sure the damage does not connect. And for Cloud9, this is where Surenfire needs to be able to make sure that he can track Tomio and ensure that Tomio does not get off the ground, because this Nidalee pick, this is something that Tomio has been able to get off the ground and accelerate in multiple games in the past for Evil Genius's Prodigies. But if this pick falls flat, if you do not get the gold lead, this is where things go awry, and Nidalee just cannot provide any real utility the later the game goes.
So how these early matchups are going to play out, Jojo Pyun, he smokes Lee Sin early. It's really difficult for Copy to pilot in this lane. As you can see, all the harass that Jojo Pyun is able to lay down in Copy. He doesn't really get any footing in this lane until level 5. We'll have to put multiple points in that shield. Whereas in the bot lane, King and Isle should be able to murk Team Luke and Mystiques. This is a brutal bot lane matchup for EG as Xayah gets immensely outranged and Varus is able to trade heavily early. But keep in mind, this is a specialty pick for Team Luke, one that when he was on Wildcard had over a 70% win rate on in Proving Grounds and in semi-pro play. Of course, this is a higher level of play, but Team Luke has proven that he deserves to be here, and going to Comfort here for Game 5 will have to step up and have a big game.
And Darshan at level 2, this is the mark where a little difficult as he's opted in for Taunt and for Spirit's Refuge. If he does not hit level 3, this dive could be disastrous as he will not be able to block out the stun. He won't be able to block out the damage. Tomio's already here, pathing from bottom lane and skipping all the top crabs to make this dive happen. Darshan still not level 3. The spear lands, but it's not enough damage as the teleport comes in from Copy. They just need one more, but a shield timing from Darshan blocks out the damage from LeBlanc's Q. The Sigil of Malice is not going to be enough. They have to go for the reignite dive. Surenfire can't catch up. First blood goes over to Tony Top, but Darshan answers back.
The fact that Renekton goes down in this lane and Copy's able to eat all this CS, C9, they're able to survive. As Darshan, the Ignite, it pays off. He trades out. He is going to be behind, but Copy picking up these waves and C9 doing something very intelligently here. You actually see Darshan TPing back, and then that's a short wave. It crashes first, so he's going to TP back there, trying to get that XP and crash that ahead of time. Whereas Copy stays up top, will try and bounce back that wave and force Tony Top to respond with his own TP if they so choose. As, Tomio, if he was just able to get off one more auto attack, this could have been a clean 2-for-0. Instead, Copy, the clutch shield coming out, the safe card keeps Darshan safe enough for just enough time for them to taunt Tony Top, force him to take tower aggro, and trade out evenly.
At that point, Darshan was about to bite the dust sooner or later, but the trade being able to come out as Darshan actually gets routed off here by Tomio. Jojo Pyun looking for the chains is going to land. Darshan is not getting out of this one alive.
Okay. It was close there. That spear almost went wayward, but Tomio still able to find it, and now actually they spot out Copy as well. The good news for C9 is that Copy is going to be ahead in XP, so should have a much easier matchup against Jojo Pyun. Will hit 6 first, and I can actually threaten the kill at that point. As we expected a rather volatile early game, given the fact we have Renekton Nidalee, and EG, they are executing the early plays they need to do to try and get themselves ahead.
Cloud9 still holding on, but Evil Geniuses with the gold lead thanks to that dive and the first blood. And notably, most importantly, Tomio does have a slight gold lead. Gonna go for... I'm curious to see if he's going to go for the Night Harvester for the extra burst, or if he's going to go for the Proto Belt for the mobility and the straight-up magic penetration, as you do have Jojo Pyun. Most members would be building magic resist at some point, maybe in their second or third item. But if you want to snowball, if you want to accelerate the game to the point where you can close out, that might be the route to go. As Mystique's showing his face in the mid lane, ensuring that Jojo Pyun can shove in this wave. Tomio is also making an appearance here as well. They are dedicating 3 members Rift Herald's not coming out for anytime soon, but the Dragon might be a contestant here for Cloud or Evil Geniuses.
They just want to crash the wave. Jojo Pion, he's low mana. And they aren't going to be able to crash the wave against Copy, who we talked about the XP advantage. He's already ding 6. Oh boy.
Oh, they're going for another dive. Mystique's
yeah, so Shurn's taking the free dragon, but EG, they're to the play top first. They're trying to take down Darshan yet again, take advantage of this Renekton Italy. And the play gets deterred because of the hover from Copy and Isles, and they keep that mid freeze. So C9, with no action taking place on the map, they're going to win out this trade, given the fact they stall EG's time, force them to burn tempo, and get more resources for themselves.
And this is one of the things. I mean, we've seen Tomio's in Italy pop off in the semi-pro scene before. Oh God, Fire. Okay. We're
good.
All right, that was close, but it's okay.
Take a deep breath, Rafa. It's game 5. Things are hype, but we're good.
In Game 5, unforced errors coming out are things you don't want to see as a spectator. It's not even a bias. It's just you want to see these two teams playing out their best. Fire might have poked his head too long. Moonfall comes out, but there's not enough damage. He flashes away beautifully and gets out away from the spear. Copy with the Dragon's Rage keeps the enemies at bay.
Really good kick from Copy, and you can see the consequences of EG's early movement, early action, and the proper reaction from C9 as Fire on this Diana. Significant CS lead, already blitzing towards that level 6 that Fire needs to win this matchup to be as impactful as you want to be on this Diana. And Jojo Pion, I think critically, this is a hard winning matchup for LeBlanc. You can do some serious damage to Lee Sin, especially in the early levels, but because of how that dive played out, because Copy was able to eat that triple wave, and then was able to crash that, and Jojo Pion burned his TP to make the play, then wasn't able to spawn. This is a significant lead mid lane for Copy. He has survived a tough part of that matchup, and now gets to hit a comfortable part of the matchup where he should be able to contest and beat the LeBlanc, given the lead that he was able to obtain for himself.
Darshan still hurting after being in this wave. Even though the advantage was somewhat neutralized, this is still a tough matchup at this point in the game with Tony Top's experience lead over Darshan. He still has Stand United to be able to join all the plays on the other side of the map as they lock down Mystique's. He gets no chance to be able to get out.
Mystique's a little bit behind on XP. King dinging 6, a beautiful chain of corruption from him. We talked about the difficulty of this laning phase for them. The fact that Team Luke is actually only down 7 creeps, I'd say, is very favorable for him, as it is extremely difficult to avoid the damage of this Varus, who is actually maybe one of the reasons the matchup's so close is that King is going for the on-hit build. He's not going for poke Varus this game, Rafa. I think they recognize that they're rather low damage with Shen, Lee Sin in the solo lane, so King's going to have to take up the brunt of that, go for an on-hint build, which I assume is going to be an Immortal Shieldbow and a Wit's End second coming out of King, as he's going to try and be the brunt of the damage for C9 in this Game 5.
You have a lot of bursts coming out from Fire when he goes in for the Moonfall engages, as Tomio finds the spear onto Darshan. Doesn't have flash, remember. Still waiting on the taunt is Tomio, making sure that he doesn't go in for the pounce quite yet, but they don't get enough damage down on the Darshan. The Ignite being used tactically on the Tony Top means that he can't take any more turret shots as they go for the dive, and Darshan saves his own life. You also have Isles waiting in the wings, ready for a counter. Oh,
that's
no,
a pretty big mistake coming out of EG, as Team Luke will burn the ultimate, save the flash. We'll have to retreat, and we'll lose a wave there as Tony Top and EG... They're really not being able to execute these plays, Rafa. This is critical. This is what their comp needs to do early. The fact that they're misplaying these, it's being deterred. Now the Rift Herald, Tomio, he can't stick it because of the health advantage that Darshan's been able to net in this lane. EG, it's an even on the scoreboard, but they're losing a lot of tempo, a lot of pacing that they need at this point of the game to execute their composition. As C9, once again, surviving the aggression, the so-called over-aggression from EG early.
A 20 CS deficit from Darshan is a small price to pay when you are preventing Evil Genius's primary win condition with the top side of the map that they have drafted in Renekton, in Nidalee, and LeBlanc. Yes, the LeBlanc can scale decently, always go for late game poke, but this Nidalee, I can tell you firsthand, Cubby, how many times I've played Nidalee, and if you do not get off the ground running, if you are not popping off with kills, then Nidalee just feels like a useless champ come 20 minutes. Your spears, in terms of poke, just don't hit the same against a majority of these members from Cloud9 who are going to be building durability items. Copy will be investing into magic resist already with the Mercury Treads. Darshan is going to be a full-on tank. Fire probably will be going for full damage, but he's going to be blowing people up in his face with this full AP build.
And that's why we're so concerned about EG's early game. The fact that they weren't able to secure the first Rift Herald yet. The first Dragon was traded out for C9. EG weren't able to pull off a successful dive. They didn't get anything in return because the nice roaming, the nice hovers from Isles, who,
oh god,
once again, going for a setup. This is an aggressive TP.
No
Tony
flash
Top
from
has
Tony
the pop
Top.
ult.
Moonfall is going to pull Tony Top right back in. Tony Top is not able to dodge out on the dash, is still on the run.
Flash.
Copy is in the river as well, being able to cut off his escape route. And Fire does get somewhat a little bit low as they were trying to give a little bit of assist gold over to Copy, but they take down Tony Top. There's no Dragon quite yet on the table as Evil Geniuses might try and rotate over and take the Dragon in exchange.
Tony Top's going to have a tough decision to make because he either has to TP back to lane, try and maintain that lead where Darshan was able to successfully crash that wave, or he has to try and make a play for this Dragon. For EG, they are trying to get both lanes shoved out, potentially have an angle to look for it as Tomio is hovering around the back half, will jump in the pit. The objective has been started by EG. One that I think is much needed for them as a Mountain Dragon, even though it's a singular dragon, those extra resistances going over to C9 could make all the difference against a comp that EG, they lack percent health damage, and resistance is very valuable. For C9 is, they're looking to contest this. Oh no!
Okay, the Dragon is secured by Tomio, but Team Luke is going to have to pay the price as Darshan with the Stand United comes in to help Cloud9 clean up.
And a good taunt connect from Darshan. Team Luke, he had Flash available, but wasn't able to get over the wall as he burned Cleanse early, and now Copy.
Copy looking for the insect. The Dragon's Rage onto Jojo Pion is going to burn both of his distortion spells. Copy. No. Copy knows he will not fall to the Lee syndrome as there is a Mystique's right in front of his face, and Jojo still had Flash to be able to escape from Copy's wrath.
Kraken Slayer being built here for King, who,
thanks, Grubhub.
With all of the early focus and attention going top, King able to take advantage of this winning matchup. I thought it would be an Immortal Shield Bow, but with how far behind EGR at the moment, he feels confident going for that Kraken Slayer, that damage build. And up next is something that I expect to be a wit's end, as EG, with their early lead, they're trying to start this Rift Herald up yet again.
Teleport from Copy.
Yeah, and it's at the point where it's not that valuable. C9, they're going to find the collapse here. Mystique, he's in trouble.
I mean, even if the Rift Herald goes over to anyone else, the Rift Herald the turret plates are not going to be utilized in time. So Cloud9, they are fine just stalling this one out.
Dodging spears.
As now they are forcing the dominance from Tony Top. It's going to run out soon. He won't have it for the next fight. Looks like Rift Herald went over. Fire is trying to go in onto Mystiques. Rest of Evil Geniuses are trying to fight back and retreat into the safety of their jungle, but the Rift Herald goes over to Cloud9.
You can feel how tense things are for both of these teams as a lot of poking and prodding. Jojo Pion falling below 300 HP, but C9 relying on that experience that they have, knowing that they have a comp that significantly outscales and the fact they're ahead 2k gold early. It sounds silly, but this is a somewhat monumental lead for them because things only get better for C9 as time goes on.
Cloud9 with the slight gold lead in a composition against Evil Geniuses where their draft relied so hard on being able to snowball. This Renekton Nidalee duo has not reached the point where it needed to be at this point of the game as we're hitting the 15-minute mark as Copy might be caught out. Safeguard over the wall, but it's not going to be enough. They get the lockdown with the Chain of Corruptions, and Copy gets burned down by Tomio.
Okay, so a little bit of an overextension there from Copy as Tomio, some Team Infernal Scouting Grounds 2020 violence goes down on the Rift, is able to pick up his teammate there. As Tomio coming into this match, he did highlight the fact that, you know, he was looking forward to his Academy debut for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that he gets to go up against his good friend Copy, trying to take him down this game. And that kill is going to matter for Tomio, as we have been critical of EG's early game. I think respectfully so, as they have had a few mis-executions around this Nidalee combo, but still Tomio, the solo queue superstar that has been emerging on the competitive scene this split. While that's for his Nidalee, he's still sitting at 2-0-1 with 100% KP, and while he hasn't been able to sync up with his new teammates quite yet, this is still a point in the game where with this Night Harvester, Nidalee's going to pack a lot of upfront damage and has the chance to get a lot done on the map. for another short amount of time, as C9 are ahead in a good game state at the moment, but have to continue to deter the plays from EG, as they're the ones that have the brunt of finding these engages with the comp they drafted.
Keep in mind for Cloud9, they don't have to press the acceleration pedal. They have to just stall it out. For Evil Geniuses, the onus is on them to make plays and to be able to push the pace, because if they don't, Cloud9 will just win out, and the later the game goes. For Cloud9, they are fine as long as they are minimizing the amount of casualties that happen on the Rift.
And for C9, one way that they can minimize that is by stacking up the dragons. The fact they got that early Infernal, very important for them, and that will make this next dragon rather important for EG, as they're going to look to find fights. And look at the river and the bot jungle control that C9 have in this game. I know that EG just made a play for that top lane turret they took successfully, but it is so scary for EG to step into the bot side of their jungle at the moment, as Tomio did just start the chickens, but Copy's lying in wait. This could be lethal.
Critically right in time for the dragon, as Copy finds his mark onto Tomio, his former Team Infernal teammate, as Tomio is about 400 HP, still on the run. Copy doesn't have enough damage to be able to take him down, but being able to force Tomio back 20 seconds before the dragon means that Tomio is now in a bad spot.
And Tomio, he has to reset. This is a free dragon now going over to C9. You can already see EG trying to respond by potentially looking for a play top with Mystiques hovering the top side, trying to take advantage of the fact that C9 have just sent 4 into the bot lane. But EG, once again, finding nothing off a very good map play from Copy, waiting in that brush, understanding the Raptors respawning. If EG wanted to contest the dragon early, which they need to do with their composition, that they had to walk into the bot side of the jungle, Copy finding the chunk. A small play, but a big play with major ramifications for C9, as they're going to take that second dragon. And I don't think Tony Top's going to be able to respond with this turret. It's just going to get chunked out. C9 properly seed that. And a 1k gold lead for them with 2 dragons. They feel very good still about how this early game's going for them.
And notice how Cloud9, even though they've suffered a huge CS deficit for Darshan, he's playing Shen. He is going to still provide the utility of a front line, being able to stand united onto Shurnfire, who, as we pointed out earlier on in this game, with all of Tomio's aggression trying to accelerate the top side of the map, Shurnfire dedicated himself to pushing his CS advantage and being able to have an item lead over Tomio. You now look at 60, 50 CS above, has the stopwatch available. The next fight that erupts could be absolutely lethal because he has the protection of the stopwatch to make sure the Moonfall goes off.
And not only that, but look at the lead that King's had. He's at 200 CS, the 1830 mark, ripping towards that wit's end if he's able to obtain that on the Varus. Who can take him down from EG? Who's going to be able to get on him, get through the Shen Shield, get through Leona, as all the resources being put into Tony Top? It hasn't been the lead that EG needs to obtain early to surmount the scaling of C9, and it's going to make these later fights very difficult and put a lot of weight on the shoulders, once again, of the EGA super carry, Jojo Pion in the mid lane, who with this LeBlanc and the mobility on this champion, I think EG going late, scarily enough, could honestly benefit them just because of what Jojo Pion could do on this champion.
He is, at this point, the late game insurance policy. But for Evil Geniuses, notice that Tomio has to invest into a Blighting Jewel because of all the magic resistance that is coming in for Cloud9, which means it takes away safety and durability options for Tomio. No stopwatch early on, no Zonya's Hourglass. If he gets caught out by a Moonfall, he is lights out for Tomio. For Cloud9, they are comfortable just waiting and stalling the game out until they get to the point where they completely eclipse Evil Genius's power.
That's exactly what we're doing right now, as I know this is an intense Game 5, but it is a time where we get to kind of take a step back on the map. We've talked a lot about how C9 have done what they needed to do early to check the boxes to complete the reverse sweep against EG. And now C9, with this Baron about to spawn, there is another objective that can be threatened, is, okay, this base is just going to be stopped. No chains of corruption coming out from King. But EG, they have a choice now for the next couple minutes if they want to set up in this top side and try and attack the Shen yet again. Attacking that global, I feel like, is the only option they have in this game.
Baron has spawned. The next dragon, 2.5 minutes. For Cloud9, as we said before, they are comfortable taking things slow. But if we think about 2 games ago, Evil Geniuses, huge momentum swing on their side after being able to pick up the first 2 games of this series. They were at match point 2 games ago. And now Cloud9 Academy off the brink of being knocked out early as Surenfire finds himself into Tony Top and Tomio. Moonfall comes out, a bunch of burst damage, forces the flash out of Tomio. Mystique's looking for the re-engage, but he's going to get stunned up by Darshan and the rest of the members of Cloud9.
I don't think C9 can do Baron off that point. Honestly, a lot was invested to make that one happen, but it does come up C9's way. As EG going to utilize that time. They're going to lose their topside jungle, but Jojo Pyong going to try and take this turret in response to Surenfire. It might be a bit of a skirmish over Wolves. The big thing here is that that spear, it goes wayward for Tomio. He doesn't wait for the stun from Tony Top. I think that he was thinking that it was going to be instant as Mystique's Isles, I think, properly flashing onto him to make sure that taunt lands. Chained up by King. They were able to chain their CC as the members of C9, the ones that have played together longer, able to sync up their sums there properly to make sure that fight goes their way. And Rafa, we have to take a step back because we do have a big reset. This is another Ocean Dragon coming up, and I feel like EG, things don't get better for them. The Blanc Saya will offer them some options later, but we still feel like this is a point of the game that EG should be stronger. But this Dragon, the fact that EG are having a later reset and the control's already over to C9, EG have a big decision to make. Do they seed this and seed Soul Point for the rest of the game, or do they opt to contest? And if they don't contest well, threaten the fact that C9 could turn to Baron and maybe shut down this game early.
Evil Geniuses have been in this position before in games 1 and 2, where Cloud9 were at Soul Point. But this time around, they don't have the composition that can go toe-to-toe with Cloud9 the later the game goes. So seceding that Soul Point is even more dangerous this time around.
And these spears from Tomio, the first 2 have connected. This King won't be able to rival the poke quite as much as he was able to do in past games on this poke Varus. As Jojo, Pyun, Tomio putting down all the damage they can, and because of this, you can see C9 starting up the objective early. They realize that they're only going to get poked out. It doesn't get better. The Shurn, he's on a big flank.
Okay, but they just put a ward down. They noticed that now the flank will be slightly deterred from that angle. He can't go for a cheese angle with the flash over the wall as he was looking for it. Tomio approaching from behind the pit. 1900 on the Dragon. Tony Top trying to pop the dominance. The Dragon, who's a good... Someone's focused the Dragon! Evil Geniuses are able to secure it away. It's no Soul Point for Cloud9, but Tony Top is now on the run. Isles went way deep into the backline, trying to deter Cloud9 from being able to engage. Surenfire already burned a Moonfall. He has flash. King is on the run. Team Luke flashing forward as Surenfire now has the flash over the wall. Tony Top was picked up by Cloud9. The rest of the members of... Tomio went back in, but he's able to get back out, going extremely hard in the paint right now. But Cloud9 able to make it out alive, but Evil Geniuses, they have an opportunity to be able to get map control.
Okay, they got the Dragon, then catch the waves that are crashing into them, and what a tense fight, Rafa, as both teams exit with flashing health bars. Limits being pushed, tested, as you were yelling, who's going to focus down the Dragon, and then all the chaos. Team Luke's the one that does it. Surenfire goes for the engage. Team Luke's like, all right, I'm just going to fire these autos, make sure we get the Dragon, which they do ensure for themselves. And Tony Top, with all the resources that he had early, was able to buy time in the 1v4, buy time for EG to get a numbers advantage the rest of the fight. And man, was this fight close throughout the rest of it, because C9 had to get over the wall and magically did so successfully, as both Jojo, Pyun, and Tomio kind of jumping over, playing on the limits, playing on the edge, almost take down more members of C9, but they were able to barely survive.
That arrow, it barely did not touch Tomio. That could have been his death, and considering how on the edge Tomio was playing, knowing that he didn't have any defensive abilities apart from flash. This is a Void Staff Night Harvester, full damage Nidalee. No stopwatch, no Zonias, no magic resistance whatsoever. He went in fully committing to the play, and the fact that he gets out alive is a miracle for Evil Geniuses.
And once again, EG, that backwards wing position is Jojo Pyun, level 16 as they go!
Look for the pick, but Mystiques with the re-engage gets a knockup on the Surenfire. Zone is going to be popped out. Copy goes in the backlight, but gets deleted. Surenfire gets routed off. Evil Geniuses, they now have a numbers advantage. They might try to go for the Baron, but Cloud9 throw out a Solar Flare, trying to deter them as long as they can, but they still have the numbers here, Cubby.
Jojo Pyun, he's going to base, he's going to TP back, and he's the one that's going to play zone control over King, who has the withstand at EG with that 2-for-1. Jojo Pyun, he's going to chase down by Darshan. Can he get out?
Darshan doesn't have no flash, as this is a teleport ignite.
He's just buying time.
Jojo
Pyun's able to TP back. That's where things get scary. Oh, he's got Jojo!
Dash!
Oh,
Darshan's
no!
able to get out. Does he have Sand United? He could go back on the Isles. 3,000 down on the Baron buff. Tomio has to get out of the
He got it!
He gets back in. He gets rid of all the Baron buff members, and Tony Top is found!
Oh, C9, Darshan, the most veteran member of this team, steps up huge, catches out the 16-year-old Jojo Pyun, not respecting the fact that Darshan was continuing the chase to the block. And yes, the Baron does go to the side of EG, but taking down 3 members and giving C9 map control yet again. Big win for them, considering the bind that EG put them in off that mid-fight that they were able to win.
The only member that got the Baron buff was
TP.
Tomio.
TP, they're going for Darshan.
Oh my god. Darshan now might be
Jojo
caught
wants
out
revenge.
here. It is the revenge of the 16-year-old as Mistakes will be able to knock him up. Jojo Pyun gets a huge shutdown as well.
And this pushes Jojo Pyun closer to level 16, closer to the mark that EG needs to potentially put themselves back in advantage of this game. And Rafa, I was scared for a while there that C9, they were going to win this one quick. They were surviving EG's early plays, but EG has been able to play themselves back in this game, much like they have. These early leads that have gone over to C9. EG have consistently shown resilience, consistently shown that they can take it against C9. And C9 now, Rafa, big deep breaths. Another minute until this upcoming Dragon fight. The last one was so close, and EG will have Baron buff on a few members here to try and give themselves that advantage. I think importantly, stopwatch for Copy and Zanya's for Surenfire on top of it. It gives C9 a lot of playmaking abilities as EG will try and chunk them out.
Isles has flash, but he doesn't get a chance to get out alive. That's a huge pick. 45 seconds on the Dragon spawn. Isles' death timer is 36 seconds, so he'll be late to the Dragon start. But they're looking for more. They're not stopping.
Oh,
they're trying to press forward on the gas pedal for Evil Geniuses. They're trying to take away everything from Cloud9.
Good pick by EG once again, just forcing that ultimate from Copy. And EG realizing that they can push hard. Mystique, he has ult. They're just trying to zone them off this turret. They realize the importance of the mid turret. They will utilize a lot of abilities to do that, and this should give them what they need to take the Dragon. But Rafa, there is a control. Okay, no teleports up for C9. I was looking at the control board by the red buff, and I was like, oh boy, like, do they go for it? Not going to be the case. EG have control. Isles getting in here late. Do C9 even choose to contest?
Notably, Tomio now has a stopwatch, so he can mitigate any burst damage, and they just burn it down instantaneously. No chance for Cloud9 to even contest. Mystique's, oh my god, Surefire. Burning the Moonfall. Mystique says, nope, see you later. Hashtag live evil.
Oh, big play from Mystiques to get out of that one, as that could have been canceled. And the big thing is that Jojo Pyun landing the chunk and just flashing out of the initial combo, it opens up this window for Mystiques to re-engage. No mistake there. He does go down, but well worth it as they get Surenfire off of the stasis. A beautiful spear from Tomio, well timed. And this opens things up for EG. And honestly, Darshan, potentially a game-saving play here for C9, as if Jojo Pyun was able to base TP back, would have opened up things for EG to maybe get a pick on King, to maybe get out with all members, 4 members with the Baron buff. But because Darshan finds this and is able to teleport into the fight, things get dicey here for EG, and the fact that they only bleed out 1 member is honestly a miracle.
And Tomio was able to make it out. Tony Top, Team Luke was not able to get out alive. But Tomio Mystiques, because Mystiques had spawned just in time before the Baron was secured by Tomio. It gave them 2 Baron buffs to be able to play with, being able to push in the top and the mid wave. And now the 3rd Dragon, the Ocean Soul, is on the side for Evil Geniuses. They are the ones at Soul Point this time around in Game 5.
I know we were talking about the scaling, how we think these comps are going to play, but honestly, with this Game 5, I mean, might as well throw all that out the window. It's to be damned, as both these teams just looking whatever they can find to push themselves over the edge, whatever they can find to give themselves a small advantage. And I really think these level 16s for C9, or for EG, very beneficial. It's going to be tough for C9 to deal with. Jojo Pyun with that low cooldown ultimate, jumping in, landing the poke. We're already seeing them struggle with that. And when he hits level 16, and now with a completed Void Staff, it's not going to get any better. And it's really going to be on King, who we talked about the brunt of the damage being on King's shoulders. If he's able to navigate this without a cleanse, he does have flash, but he has to be the one that steps up, that is able to find and put down the damages. He has been funneled a lot of resources on this Varus and will be doing so much damage in these fights.
We've talked a lot about, for the side of Evil Geniuses, Jojo Pyun, as hitting this level 16 power spike would be huge. But we have to acknowledge that Tomio is 4-0-3 on this Nidalee, has not died a single time this entire game, invested into Dark Seals for the early game snowball, didn't see it through fruition, but the mid game, the investment into the Void Staff, no defensive items, almost getting caught out and dying to a piercing arrow from King, makes it out alive, protects the investment from the stacks, and now with the Zhonya's Hourglass, he has the defensive utility to keep himself alive, making for these plays. And thing is about Nidalee, yes, the damage tends to not be your way on the spears, but the execute damage on the Cougar Pounds, they made a change back a couple seasons ago where they actually increased the execution bonus amplifier on level 16 Nidalee's passive for that takedown.
Speaking of those level 16s, Jojo Pyun getting the all-important level 16. That low cooldown ultimate will open up EG to potentially sit up around this Baron and really threaten the poke that Nidalee and the Blanc will pack at this point of the game. As Tomio will give this blue buff most likely over to Jojo Pyun to give him even more ability haste, even more power to try and get up in the face of C9 and threaten, as with all the amazingly talented players that we have in this game, Rafa, as everyone has fought hard for these 5 games to get here, everything falls on the shoulders of the 16-year-old. Jojo Pyun in this game for EG Academy. His the Blanc. He is the one that has the playmaking potential to really make C9's life hard, whereas on the flip side, I really feel like Surenfire with these Diana ultimates, EG's done a beautiful job of baiting them out, making sure they don't really connect. And it's going to have to step up and find one, be able to connect with one here, if they're going to prevent this Ocean Soul from going over, as because it is Ocean Soul, C9 putting a lot of their priority in this bot lane river, and we will have a poke war starting. This does benefit EG with their positioning early.
45 seconds, 35 seconds on the Ocean Dragon. There's still a Baron that is alive and ready for the taking. Jojo Pyun gonna get locked up by Miles. Locks Surenfire with the fall on the move fall. Jojo's gone! Mystiques is gone! And Cloud9 might have found the pick that can win them the game! Cloud9 are rounding off all the members of Tony Top Team Luke. It's only Tomio, the man who has not given up a single death for Evil Geniuses, but they're rounding them off with the teleport. They want to end the game. They want to do as much damage as they can to the base, Cubby.
Oh, and we talked about how this was all on Jojo Pyun's shoulders, and Isles lands the Zenith Blade, chases him, finds a stun, and that's what opens up a 4-0 for C9. They're marching through the base. I don't think Tomio can stop this. I think this is it.
Tomio would have to be able to clear the minion waves. He lands a nice spear. He flashes in, goes in for the kill, pops the Zhonya's Hourglass, tries to buy some time, but he's not able to do it! Cloud9! They've done it! Off of the brink of being in match point in Game 3! But they bring the reverse sweep to life in Cloud9 and advance to the semifinals!
And what a 5-game series from these two teams in the quarters, Rafa. It delivers, and heartbreak for EG, who were up 2-0, had Game 4 nearly in the bag, but King saves Game 4, Isles saves Game 5. The 16-year-old was not allowed to pop off in that fight. He was kept stun-locked, and C9, off the back of that play, survive EG, push through to the next round of the playoffs.
Cloud9, you have to give them props for weathering the storm, for being on the back foot after the end of Game 2. It is not an easy position mentally, emotionally, to always think this game could be our last in the series, but to make it through Game 3 and then a Game 4 where it went the distance. It went to almost 45 minutes relying on King to stack up with those Mega Inferno bombs despite Tony Top being monstrously ahead on that Fiora, and we get the Game 5 where even a mid-game pick from Evil Geniuses almost puts him ahead in the lead, puts him on soul point, Cubby. But it's just one pick from Isles as he follows the Zenith Blade into Cloud9's victory over Evil Geniuses.
And what a crazy series, as we had 2 games that went to each team respectively rather one-sided, and then 3 close ones throughout, as that was so tense. And I mean, off the bat, there's so many things you could shout out, like Tomio, a very respectable performance, first game in Academy, going up against Surenfire, taking it to him, going for that pocket in Italy. But while condolences go to EG, they had a great performance. I think that all eyes for me really go on King, a player that I know, interviewing with the audio-only broadcast for the LCS through Weekday. He was talking about how his confidence was a little bit shaken on the LCS stage, how he didn't feel like he was playing at the same level that he was in the last split. But what a confidence boost this has to be. carrying your team through that Game 4, stepping up Game 5, taking advantage of your team funneling you so hard in all those games that C9 was able to do. King delivers in the end. King stays king in this matchup and helps push C9 over the edge, especially in that Game 4, which was looking specifically grim for them up against EG. That, for me, was the big difference for C9. And, man, I mean, what a crazy series we had. The best 5 we've seen in Academy so far. I know we've only seen 2, but it's going to be hard to top that one as we move throughout the playoffs.
It went the distance, Cubby, and to know that Cloud9, going from being the undisputed best Academy team to show up in Proving Grounds in spring, to have a less than desirable summer split, almost facing a potential 7th seed finish and having to play in unified Grand Prix. The difference of potentially 2 games. They barely make it in the top 6 for Academy playoffs, and they push and champion through an amazing best of 5 against Evil Geniuses Academy. Latigrus, Mad Magical, and Destrux are standing by to break down this amazing finish to an amazing series.
Thank you so much, Rafa and Cubby, for bringing us that amazing energy throughout the entirety of that 5-game series. And with that, Cloud9 Academy are moving on from the quarterfinals into the semifinals. But I think few things feel better.
Oh, man, I have no idea how Cloud9 were able to collect themselves after EG were in the driver's seat and just take a win off a fight like that.
Well, the thing is when you look at Cloud9 and how they tend to play, I've talked about it before. They're really good at the early game. They're really good at the late game. They're not so good at the mid game. Even here, it's like they're able to get a nice Rift Herald play where they're forced off EG, but I would consider this part of the early game when they dominate, and then once we get to that mid game, they always have these moments where someone gets caught out or they just take a really bad fight.
Yeah, and the thing is, with what they've brought to the table here at Destrux, you have something like the Diana ulti being able to come out and pop somebody, and that's why we get a lot of those kind of moments that come down to a single play, where you get that pick and the team is able to follow up.
Yeah, both junglers were going pretty hard in this matchup, just in different ways. Tomio's focus was the early ganks, Sternfire's focus was the power farming early, and we got to see how these playstyles actually did unfold throughout the game. Both of these junglers were very prominent, were very present in the map play. You can see right here where Tomio makes one misstep, is so close to getting punished for it as he hops over the wall, but gets back out alive. And that was the theme of this match as a whole. It was just a game of inches. You can see right there, they try and catch out Jojo, instantly gets turned on. See what happens again when they go for that engage onto Jojo once again. But yeah, that's the story of the game right there. Just a game of inches. So close for Evil Geniuses. Cloud9, man. You got it.
Exactly. Before we focus some of the attention on what Cloud9 Academy is doing right throughout this series, Mad Magical, I think we do have to pay some respect to the members of EG. People like Tomio coming out and making his debut here in the Academy playoffs.
I agree. I mean, you look at a lot of the players over on the side of Evil Geniuses as well. Tony Top, Jojo Pion, Team Luke. These are all young players, either their first time that they're making really a statement this entire year in New Academy, or really new to the scene regardless. These are players that are incredibly talented, and you just look at their growth from spring, where they, in the spring season, really did struggle. Then when it came to Proving Grounds, playing in the qualifiers, they started to find that stride. They started to look a lot more concise and a lot clearer on how they wanted to play. And now look at us here. They're getting all the way to Game 5 against Cloud9, the team that was in the finals for Proving Grounds last split.
This is the thing that is very important to know about Cloud9. There's a lot of weight on their shoulders to perform well, not just in this series, but beyond, having had a strong spring, coming off of championship titles from years prior. And Deserux, when we're looking at the young players on EG side and looking at the veterans on the side of Cloud9, it was players like Darshan that really showed up calm, cool, and collected here to carry them in, well, not carry just on his own, but really facilitate leading them into the ultimate victory.
Yeah, that veteran experience goes a very, very long way, and we definitely saw. You were talking about Darshan. We also got to talk about King and Isles and what they were able to bring to this, because, my goodness, overall, King and Isles are an absolutely spectacular bot lane. They put up a great performance. We were kind of scratching our head a little bit at the build that they choose to go, but ultimately, hey, they're the ones that are the winners here. They're the ones coming out on top. They have a very historied organization. They have an organization that is pretty much the most winningest when it comes to Academy. So to see them falter this much in the season was sad to see, but to see them come back up, to see West Rice hoist this team back up, say, we can still do it, we can get our vision together, we can focus on this and get that dub. That's what we saw. Hats off to Cloud9.
Well, and Cubby talked about it a lot on the broadcast as well. He talked about how King is a player who dominated over the OPL. He's an incredibly winning player over in that region, then coming over here, struggling when he went onto the LCS stage briefly, losing a little bit of that confidence. So to see the team play around him, really facilitate and bolster him up, is a great showing for Cloud9 Academy on how they're getting this ADC to be what he once was, where we saw him dominating in OPL.
Even with those moments that you mentioned of struggle on the LCS stage, he also showed a lot of great promise on that stage as well for the future of his career. And now returning to this bot lane alongside Isles, where they've showed not just so much as a duo, but a lot of flexibility as well. Mad Magical, do you think that this bot lane is one of the key components of this Cloud9 squad in terms of future trajectory of themselves in the playoffs?
I feel like whenever I watch this Cloud9 Academy roster, because each iteration is slightly different in their own way, but I look at this one in particular, and I do think that King is a big part of it. That they need to make sure they're constantly playing around him. Not that they can't play around other members, but it's just how they tend to play. Copy likes a lot of the control mages, but he's really not the focus that they try to prioritize a lot. Darshan, he looked great on that gen, even if he was ganked over and over again, because he's the global, always gank the source of the globals. He was still able to play that incredibly well for the team. He was a great engaged tool. Same with Shurnfire, someone who was able to find great picks. I was talking about it when we were just in the break, how he was so far ahead of Tomio when it came to CS's farm. Always just trying to see if he could power farm to be stronger and stronger. But it was all in an effort to make sure that King, who built the on-hit forest, not even a Mortal Shield build, went Kraken Slayer. That way, he was completely peeled for. His positioning was so critical for the team and their success.
And this whole squad is so mechanically gifted. They just needed to really focus down on a lot of the problems that West Rice has been working on, you know. One of the things that West Rice did tell me was he wants to be able to play better around what Evil Geniuses do, what they want to bring to the map when they see a situation that Evil Geniuses bring up. I think this whole series was a testament towards West Rice's philosophy on that, because it was a slow adaptation game after game. Once they figured out the Lulu ban, the rest was just playing it on the Rift.
The Rift was a party space today. That's all I gotta say about that series. And as much as we're talking about the players on Cloud9 Academy, I think it's about time that we get some words directly from one of them, at least, as we head into the Verizon post-game interview. We have Isles standing on by. I gotta get your raw reaction to that 5-game series. Some expected it to be close with the fourth and for the seeds battling it out. But what were your expectations for this matchup against Evil Geniuses Academy?
I thought that coming into it, we had a really big chance to even 3-0 or something similar, because we've had really good scrim results, especially in the last week. But I guess today we. Yeah.
A little bit of a connection issue, it seems. Oh, I think I've got you back here, though. But you're saying that scrims seem to be going well for you this week. Do you mind repeating the rest of that thought?
Yeah, I think scrims were going really well, as I said, but I think in the first 2 games we definitely were throwing some curveballs and we just weren't performing. I think, like personally, I think this is genuinely the worst series I've played in my entire life. I was really disappointed with my personal performance, but obviously I'm really psyched about the result and I'm really proud of my teammates and how we were able to stay resilient during the entire series. So happy about that.
It's always a tough situation when you're feeling a bit self-critical on your own play. From the outside perspective, you are all working well collectively together. But I am curious, was there anyone particular on the team, whether it be a leading voice or you and your mentality, that was able to allow you to push past that feeling and still come through for the victory here in Game 5?
Well, I think a lot of like, being able to play a 5 game series comes down to how you practice. And I think especially at Cloud9, I've noticed that like we have very strict routines that start from very early in the morning and we do workout in the morning or then we scrim till like 6. Sometimes we do night blocks. Like I'm very used to playing this very like long 5 game format that starts from very early. And I think that we were all like maybe we had a bit of a mental edge today or something. I'm not really sure. But as soon as the momentum, swung back in our favor, I think we adapted well.
And it takes a mental edge to be able to pull off a reverse sweep in a best-of-5 series. You mentioned some of the curveballs that EGA were bringing your way. Do you think that taking away the Lulu pick and getting them off of that type of composition was part of the key to the success in Cloud9 turning the series around?
I guess Lulu was, the biggest curveball that we were thrown in that sense. We were definitely not expecting Tomio to play some of the champs he brought out because, I think in the past he's been known for champs like Graves or the more ranged, the more kitey champs that we were expecting to see, like the Nidalee in Game 5. But we weren't really expecting him to pull out like, Trundle, Olaf, Zinjao, these more current meta champions. So we weren't really expecting to see something like Lulu Olaf, and I think even though we were stubborn about it, like not banning it in the second game, because we didn't really think it was a problem at first, I think just getting it out of the picture was not harmful at all. So glad we ended up doing that.
Once it was out of the picture at Cloud9 Academy, picking up 3 consecutive wins, I did get word that FlyQuest Academy have selected Cloud9 Academy as their opponents in the semifinals. Is that what you expected? And what are your thoughts on that matchup?
I think after today's result, it's definitely expected. I think we didn't get exactly what we were looking for. Obviously, a win is a win at the end of the day, but I think the performance we showed is far from what we're capable of. But I think we actually played them fairly recently, and I think that in scrims and like in practice, we actually show up like the same way we were last split. But yeah, we definitely have to take every series one step at a time, and I'm definitely hyped.
The hype is real. That step is coming soon enough. Isles, congratulations again on your victory today, and thank you so much for stopping by for this interview.
Thank you.
With that, going back over to the desk, hanging out again with Mad Magical and Desterux. As you just heard there, and you may have seen yourself, FlyQuest Academy have selected Cloud9 Academy going into those semifinals matchups. So Mad Magical, I just want to get your thoughts as well on what you're thinking is to come.
I think, like Isle said, that it's not too surprising you see a victory like this. Even if it's an impressive reverse sweep, you could see the weaknesses, how easily exploited they can be out of Cloud9 Academy. And you look over on the other side, 100 Thieves Academy, that'd be a really tough matchup, especially because they look really hot in their series against Immortals. Even if Game 3, a little iffy, it's still a strong team that you have to be worried about. Looking at the 2 choices going up against Cloud9, FlyQuest, they're going to be confident. They have been a team that has been swapping their team with LCS in the Academy, but there's for a good reason. That has been an incredibly strong roster across the board for FlyQuest, and they feel like they're going to easily be able to take this to the finals.
Yeah, taking a look at the bracket right now, FlyQuest and C9, TL, and 100 Thieves. We just got some of the thoughts from Mad Magical. Desterux, what are your raw reactions to knowing what these matchups are going to be in the top 4?
So I'm definitely excited for FlyQuest versus Cloud9 Academy. I love watching NXI and Triple in specific play the map and what they can do, the raw aggression they bring. It's a matchup that plays a lot similar to what we saw from Evil Geniuses, just much more calculated, much more coordinated. So I'm excited for that matchup, definitely, and I definitely think it's going to be a challenge, a big challenge, to be able to overcome FlyQuest.
I'm ready for those challenges, though, Mad Magical. I can't believe we actually got the best of 5 going all the way to 5 games today. Is this something that instilled more confidence in C9 Academy in some regards for you, or are you aligned with Isles where, oh, we expect people to maybe be a little down on us after going the distance, and that's why they get selected, for instance, by the top seed?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I kind of understand it, where you're coming from FlyQuest. You look at the series, and like I said, there's clear weakness. That mid-game of Cloud9 seems to be one of those hurdles that you're really struggling to be able to overcome. Nearly losing out in games 4 and 5 because of it. Just some good plays in the late game where they're able to come together as a unit and fight back, allowed them to be able to get the reverse sweep, but it was definitely messy. This isn't like what we saw from Cloud9 in the past, even in spring, where this was a team that was dominant, and they still had that weakness back then. Don't get me wrong, it's been there for a while, but it's much clearer right now. You can really see that it doesn't seem like they're all always on the same page.
Yes, we need everyone to be on the same page and all the teams to give us the best possible play here going into semifinals next week. Remember, everyone, that is going down on Thursday and Friday, similar to what we had with quarterfinals today. So make sure you stay tuned for that here in the LCS Academy playoffs of Summer Split. Desterix, any last words for the audience before we close?
Team Liquid, good luck. I'm wishing you all the luck in the world because I used to cast for that organization. They hold a very special place in my heart. But 100 Thieves is going to be brutal and, you know, been a fun experience being on an academy as well. So you want to watch what's coming up because this is going to be hot as we lead into Proving Ground.
Hey, I was once with Cloud9 as well. I cast their games too, but unfortunately, sometimes you just gotta be unbiased here. You gotta look at the teams as they are and be like, okay, Team Liquid's a strong team, actually. Hard to argue against that one.
The Cloud9 TL rivalry erupting on our desk a bit here between our analysts. But Mad Magical, Desterix, thank you so much for joining me on the desk today. It has been such a pleasure hanging with y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, the Tigers.
And for everybody at home, it has been a pleasure having you along for the ride as well. I hope you had a good time here in the quarterfinals of LCS Academy playoffs here for Summer Split. We'll see you for the continuation of all the action once semifinals kick off next week. But until then, my friends, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.